Now, folks, I hate to be negative. Matter of fact, I won't be negative. I'll be like a little boy came home from school one day and said, Dad, I'm afraid I flunked that arithmetic test. His dad said, son, that's negative. Be positive. He said, Dad, I'm positive I flunked that arithmetic test. I don't care how much you race that car motor, it's not going to change the color of the light. Now, let me emphasize a point. Those of you who thought it might be a little juvenile a minute ago for you to say super good but I'll get better, or outstanding but I'm improving, if you think that's juvenile, what do you think it is to sit there to race a car engine trying to change the color of the light? Good friend of mine, Bernie Loftic, Winnipeg, Canada, most positive man on the face of this earth. I know he is. Bernie's so positive he's never had a cold. Every once in a while he has a warm. Bernie is so positive he won't even talk about the weekend. He calls it the strong end. And you say, now wait a minute, Ziglar. Go lights, warm, strong end. Is all of that necessary? No, you can be mediocre without it. Mediocre. Who's that dude think he's talking to? Doesn't he know that I'm president of my own company? Mediocre. Doesn't he know I'm worth over $5 million? Mediocre. Doesn't he know that I was #1 in the whole region last year and the year before? Mediocre. Doesn't he know that I've got my PhD? Well, bully for you. I still say mediocre. You see, success is not measured by how you do compared to what somebody else does. See, you might have 10 times the ability. Success is measured by how you do compared to what you could have done with the ability which you have. You see, what I'm talking about is for you to be #1. Oh, I don't believe everybody can be the biggest and the fastest and the strongest and the smartest, but I believe you are #1 when you get up in the morning and say, today, I'm going to give it my best shot. I believe you're #1 when at the end of the day you can honestly look in that mirror and say, today I gave it my best shot. That's all anybody can ask of you. And you know what? With the ability you have and the attitude you're developing, your best shot is all that is required. You'll be #1. Step number 4, establish those symbols. The next time somebody asks you how to get from here to there, don't say, go down to the second stoplight and turn right. Instead, write yourself a little note for the first few weeks. Put it on the dash of your car. Remember, there are go lights. And then when somebody asks you for directions, you'll be ready. You say, you go down to the first go light. And you can't say go light with a straight face if your life depended on it. And you know what? You'll grin from ear to ear. The mind is an associating machine, and I'll guarantee you, you'll get results. Step number 5, to build a winning attitude. To be up 90% of the time and on when you need to be. This one begins with a question. Is there anybody here who has a thoroughbred horse worth in excess of $1 million? Okay. If you did have a thoroughbred horse worth over $1 million, would you keep him up half the night, let him drink coffee and booze and smoke cigarettes and eat junk food? What about a $10 dog? $5 cat? You know, actually, you treat a $5 cat better than you do a $1 billion body. And if you had a $1 million thoroughbred, you'd have the best trainer in the country. You would hire a dietitian to make certain his food was exactly right. You'd have the best facilities. You'd have an air-conditioned barn in the summertime and a steam-heated one in the wintertime. $1 million investment. But here's this $1 billion body. Step number 5 really boils down to the fact that we need to take care of our health. Now, to do that, there are some very simple things to do. You need to get a reasonable amount of sleep, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Forrest Tennant, the #1 drug authority in the country, in my opinion, is a consultant for the National Football League. He's a consultant for Texaco. He's a consultant for Abbott Laboratories, the Justice Department, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Has the largest research staff of anybody in the country. Dr. Tennant says that you need a certain amount of sleep. It's a must. Because sleep is the only function which permits the brain to replace certain chemicals in the body. And a lot of people who have difficulty in life can be traced directly to the fact that they've upset that balance by not getting enough sleep and by putting those chemicals into their system, which destroys that. You need a certain amount of sleep. Number 2, you need to eat a well-balanced diet. Number 3, you need to get on an exercise program. I'll just point out that I got on an exercise program 15 years ago. I'm going to brag just for 1 second. In January the 5th, 1987, I went to the Cooper Clinic in Dallas for my physical. I go every 18 months. While there, I stayed on the treadmill longer than any active player in the National Football League who's been tested, and lots of them have been tested. I'm 60 years old. I have a resting heart rate of 41. I can do things today I never could have dreamed of doing when I was 25 years old. When I got on this program 15 years ago, the first day I ran a block. I'm here to tell you that a good exercise program will make a dramatic difference in your life. If you're over 30 or over 30 pounds overweight, get medical advice before you get started. Be sensible about it. Do not try to be a weekend hero and end up in serious trouble. Take care of yourself, but do what is necessary to get in shape physically. A lot of people say, well, Zig, I know you're terribly busy. When do you have time to run? Well, I am so busy I don't have time not to run. That's a literal truth. You see, when you exercise, you activate the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland floods the system with endorphins. Endorphins are over 200 times more powerful than morphine. And the result is you end up on a natural chemical high. And for the next 2 to 5 hours, you're far more productive, far more creative, far more energetic. I invest that few minutes in running and get back hours as a result of it. Take time to get in shape. You need to avoid poison. I'm talking first of all about smoking cigarettes. Every time you smoke a cigarette, you have just decided to die 14 minutes earlier than you otherwise would have died. 17.2% of all the deaths in America are attributed directly to smoking cigarettes. Keep that poison out of your system. Booze, every time you take a drink, it damages and destroys brain cells. We now know that expectant mothers, even if they drink very, 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 very moderately during pregnancy, it has an impact. Step number 5, ladies and gentlemen, you need to take care of your health.